Okay, guys. Well, I am really excited. I will tell you, I only had one cup of coffee. Normally, I'm a lot more jazzed, but I'm kind of excited about what we're going to talk about today. So I didn't really think I needed more coffee. And so, welcome everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen. And I've got something to share with you guys that I'm quite passionate about. Can everybody see my screen? Okay. All right. So one of the things I love about June is, June, we get to really discover, we're halfway through the year. We're ready to hit the second half. Most of us don't think much about this type of stuff that we're going to talk about today, because we typically think through this a little bit more at the beginning of the year or the end of the year, kind of evaluate. But I love this conversation in June. And so I had a speaker coming on, but he unfortunately couldn't make it. And so I was so excited to share this training with you. And some of you have heard parts of this, not the whole thing. And so I'm excited for you. So listen, this is the big idea of our time today, is getting closer to your purpose in real estate. Now that's a loaded statement. And the reason is so the best version of you will always show up. Now, if we don't get this right, I've been here, feel stuck, largely unfulfilled, and not moving closer in the direction of your dreams and deeper ambitions. I've also felt this, you were meant for more, and yet your frustrations mount with the lack of progress made. Anybody been there? Anybody been there in 2024? Yes. Or something seems to continue to hold you back from finding the fulfillment that you know you're destined for. And I love this conversation in June because it's really a great time to kind of re-reflect on some of our goals, what we were working to achieve, and also do some deep thinking. Ultimately, if we don't get it right, more and more time will pass with the lack of fulfillment, and ultimately you are not any closer to living to your true potential. I'm about to have my 60th birthday, you guys. And so when you get that old and you get that much over the hill, you start to reflect. Right? And so, but if we get it right, this is the good news. Get a game plan and put effective steps of intention in place, leading you towards your best self and your best life. Guys, I am so uber passionate about this. And that's why I only needed one cup of coffee this morning. With each victory, you gain confidence with a greater understanding of what stands in your way. You can gain clarity and set free from the previous path of roadblocks and lack of progress. But ultimately, by embracing the truth, what we're going to talk about today, and deeply understand the masterpiece that you are created to be, you'll make the greatest impact and be the most fulfilled. Now, that's a loaded statement. You realize when you make the impact that you were destined to make, you'll be the most fulfilled. Did you know that those two go together? I've been definitely learning that. So the first thing we're going to talk about this morning is your zone of excellence. And I love this concept. And so let me just kind of unpack this for you. I'm going to share a book that I've read recently that really helped me. However, I've been on this journey for quite some time. So let me unpack this a little bit for you in a way that I think you'll understand. So first of all, let me get my clicker going here. Most people, let's just talk, not you, okay, but most people out there in our world today, they're living in kind of what I call one circle. They're making a living. They largely don't enjoy it. They largely aren't that great at it, though their abilities grow in time. Many times they're really not even passionate about that. They're just simply making a living. Has anybody ever known anybody that's just made a living? They're miserable. They live all their lives and they retire. And did you know that most heart attacks happen on Monday morning? Right. And so this is what I call the zone of average. They're just making a living, they're tolerating it, it pays the bills, and I call it the zone of average. Or some may be in a career where they do make a living, and maybe they have some natural talents and abilities in that realm. And they're pretty good at it. And over time, they even get better. So this is better. But in the end, they're really not fulfilled because they're not passionate about it. They don't really, really enjoy it. And so I call this the zone of better, because you're living in two circles. That's better, right? There might be another circle. And let's talk about someone that lives in these bottom two. They're pretty good at something. They really are pretty naturally talented at it, and they're passionate about it. Now that's great, but they can't make any money. This is like the starving artist, right? Where they're just kind of barely squeaking by. I watch America's Got Talent sometimes, and these musicians or The Voice, where these musicians, they move to Nashville and they're just barely squeaking by, right? And some of them really make it and break through, and many of them don't. But that's these two circles right here. Now we can see some positives in that for sure. But what I want to point your attention to is what I call the zone of excellence. And I would say the challenge before us all is to find the spot that has all three. And what I want to identify here is right here, where all these circles intersect. This is your zone of excellence, because you're making a great living, and you're skilled and talented in that realm, and you're passionate about it. And I propose to you that it's here that you not only are the most fulfilled, but you're making the largest impact on others. Does that make sense? It's basically when you're living in this realm of making a good living, living within your skills and abilities, and living within your passions, those things that you truly enjoy. And you guys, this is why I love real estate, because in real estate, okay, I can make a good living. Yes or yes, yes. In real estate, there might be some things that I really, really enjoy. Now, let's be honest. There might be some things I don't enjoy about real estate. And I might have some good skills and talents that can contribute towards my real estate career. And yet I can also grow in those talents and abilities. But one other reason I love real estate is real estate can give you the flexibility so that you can also go pursue those things that help you live in your zone of excellence more. And for me, as I've endeavored through this and endeavored to determine where my natural skills and abilities and passions are, years ago, I came up with my vision statement, which really is my zone of excellence. And basically, this is my mission statement, you guys, and it has my zone of excellence written all over it. In knowing him and knowing my creator and making him known, I lead others towards their best life, hint, their zone of excellence, through mentoring, speaking, teaching, and coaching. And those that know me best know this is true about me, because I believe that if I'm in my zone of excellence, I'm naturally going to make a bigger impact on those around me. This is where I can make my greatest contribution. And my question is for you today, because you're not going to just step out of bed tomorrow morning and live all your day in your zone of excellence. It just doesn't happen that way. But what if you could live 1% of your day tomorrow or today in your zone of excellence, and a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's where you're going to see some greater fulfillment, because you're making a greater contribution to those around you. So that's my question to you today. So let me ask you this. What do you do when you do that, you feel the most alive? Have you ever done something where when you got done, you felt the most alive when it had to do with making a difference in someone else's life? Don.
Hey, Jackie.
Hey.
I love this subject. And you, of course, you refer to it as zone of excellence. It comes under other terms as well.
Absolutely.
Like Dan Sullivan will talk about our unique ability. And what he says the same thing too, is that, what do you do that, gives you energy as opposed to takes your energy, right? And I think the other aspect of this, and, of course, we all want to apply this to our real estate practices, but when I talk to agents and I'll ask them what their ideal client is, and they're very generic, those tend to be the agents that are succeeding at a very mediocre level, or maybe not succeeding at all. And I just find that the more specific people can get with their zone of excellence, as you would call it, the more successful that they'll tend to be, the happier that they'll tend to be, the better they'll be able to attract other people. And that was the other piece that Dan Sullivan would tie together. He says, when you're operating in your unique ability, you can then create unique teamwork, because people want to work with you because you're amazing at that one thing, right? And so it is, I really love this subject and encourage people to really dive deep on finding their zone of excellence in our business. It's not, I work with buyers or sellers, but who do you get most excited about working with, right?
Mm-hmm.
What gives you energy?
Yeah, what gives you?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, Jackie. And so then once you find that zone of excellence, then of course, obviously, it has to be broken down to daily activities. And one of my favorite sayings, you don't have to be great, you just have to be consistent. And a quote that I heard yesterday is, emotions are the lag measures of keeping promises to yourself and others.
Yeah, well, I love that question, and I love that quote. Thank you so much, and thank you, Don. I do want to encourage you guys on this. Just one other pro tip. People are like, well, my zone of excellence is living on an island by myself with no people. Right? Well, that sounds really excellent. And I get it. Sometimes I want to go on an island and just get me away from the people. And I get it. We need some time to think. We need some time to journal and process and all that. But I will tell you that your zone of excellence is going to be around the arena of others. Where are you making a difference? Where are you making an impact? And for me, I speak at my church probably once a month, and I'm telling you, I get done with that, and I'm like, I could do this forever. I could do this every day, because it gives me so much energy. And why? Because I have some skills in there. I'm passionate about my content or my subject, and I'm making a difference in other people's lives. Are you kidding me? I live for that. I live for that. And so one of the things that I have done in my journey in this is, what could I do this week to live, identify your zone of excellence. And what could I do this week to just 1% or 10% more of my week be in that zone? And because of that, I want to recommend a book. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. This is, in my experience, is not a quick read. it is a slow processing thing to help you discover your zone of excellence, you guys. It's an awesome book. And now he pieces it together a little bit differently than I have here, but it's the same concept, and he does call it a zone of excellence. This is the bottom line right here. When you and I aren't living out our purpose, i.e., our zone of excellence or unique ability, you guys, this is it. Please know this. The world misses out. The world misses out. Those people most close to you miss out. The people that you're meant to impact, they miss out when you're not discovering what this is for you. You were created to make a difference. You were created to live, and that's all built in your passions and your abilities. You were built to live this and find this. And I would propose, not many do. Not many even get there because they don't even know about it. And that's why I love this June conversation. So I have more, you guys. We got to keep going. I want to also identify your zone of excellence. And next, identify your interference. And so this is another thing about what Tom was referencing. What do we do? I encourage you to identify your interference. So your potential is this, guys. This is my son. He just got back from Mount Denali, climbing Mount Denali. 3
Did he
weeks
make it to the top?
Yeah, he did. He got,
wow.
you might as well. He just got a few yards away from the top. But anyway, he got there. But he just got back. He's home. He's tired. He's sick, but he's home. So the mama knees are not wobbling anymore. But anyway, it's your potential, right? And I love he actually was named in 2018 the Mountaineer of the Year at 21 by Mountain Magazine. And he's climbed mountains and he's overcome so much. And I love this idea because it's you overcoming. It's your potential, you up on top of that mountaintop of your purpose, living that out. But you got to talk about your interference because your performance equals your potential minus the interference. The iceberg, right? Your performance, the results is the top of the iceberg. That's what everybody sees. That's what everybody watches. That's what they see. That's the results. But you don't realize that the results are being driven by what's under the water. That's your limited beliefs. It's your fears. And it's really what's right between the 6 inches here, right between your ears. You guys, that's the bulk of your interference. And I put failures on here, but I want to qualify. It's not your failures that are the interference. It's the story you tell yourself about your failures that create the limited beliefs that feed those insecurities, that might even create some bitterness and some anger. And Trevor, let me get to this next part, and then I want to answer your question. And so your interference is your mindset. You guys just start right here. Start right here. And I am so off my notes. I had notes galore, but let's just scrap that. It's your mindset that is most of your interference. I want you to think of your mind like soil. That soil, I have a garden in my backyard. That soil is meant to grow the seeds that I planted. It's meant to grow the seeds. If I plant seeds of vegetables and fruit and flowers, right, it's going to grow that. But if I plant seeds of poison and lies and unproductive, poisonous seeds, it's going to grow those kinds of plants. Your mind does not care what kind of seed you planted. It doesn't even care. It's going to indiscriminately grow what you planted. So my question is, what are you planting? And I call this, I call this weeding and feeding. Because you weed out, right, the things, and you feed it the truth, the right strong beliefs. Guys, it takes courage. It takes courage to weed that out, because let's face it, this is a lifetime of interference. You know, what failures have you faced, and what did you tell yourself after your failure? That I can't do this? I'll never make it? Or are you telling yourself, yep, that was rough, and next time I'm only going to be better. It's only going to make me better. And every setback is a setup for a comeback. And so it just weeding and feeding, and it does take courage. So my encouragement to you is to definitely identify the interference. Treva, what was your question?
It was more a statement. I just wanted to say, I love that regarding, it's not your interference isn't the failure. It's what you tell yourself about the failure. And I think about, because I don't know Noah, but I know a lot about Noah, your son. I mean, and to everyone on this call, I mean, he doesn't just climb the mountain. He decides to take the course that nobody else will take. And I just think that courage, and I think not to that extreme, but real estate is like that a lot of times, that you have to really go out of your comfort zone. And it's not the failure that can actually create confidence, just that you've attempted something. Even if you fell a little bit short, it's what you're going to tell yourself, and the courage to do. And Noah climbing, I mean, the courage that he displays is unreal. So anyway, that's all I was going to say.
And yeah, I love it. It's so true. And you know what, you guys, this is, you've probably heard the concept, what you focus on expands. And Don, there was someone, and you can please, so I can give him credit, who that was a month ago on this very call, that said, your obsession becomes your possession. Who was that? Do you remember? Maybe Tom knows. But that was on a call before, but that's where this comes from, you guys, is what
you get what you focus on, right?
Yeah, you get what, and it grows. And that's just that your mind is growing those seeds.
One thing I'm going to throw in is, like Jim Rohn says, focus more. If you work more on yourself than your business, then that's the key. Work more on your business, work more on yourself, do your business.
Yeah, that's it. And it's so crucial to just understand what am I feeding my mind? Who am I listening to? You guys, I've been going through just a really rough month. It's been a toughie, I will say. I'm just being vulnerable here. And just some things happening in my own life, my own personal life. And that concept of, you create what you obsess about. What do I want out of what am I obsessing? If I'm obsessing on the fears, it's going to produce that. And so, you got to turn that story around on what you're focusing on. I'm going to come out better than ever before. I'm going to be stronger because of this adversity. Instead of, the crushing weight that I feel like I'm under right now. What am I going to obsess about? And because that's going to be what I create. And life throws us this way. It throws that in front of us. And it's so important to just still remember that interference conversation. So you guys, I got more. So I'm going to just briefly go over this. I did this training some time ago, and I actually did it with Kevin and his group a month ago. But so I'm just going to, it just bears worth repeating, because it's not just understand what your zone of excellence and identify the interference, but you got to get into relentless action. And, there's that quote that we're all only 3 to 5 years away from becoming or achieving everything and anything we'd ever dreamed of. And my question is, in which quadrant? And so we've got in the top vertical here, your high mindset. versus your low mindset. And this is the high mindset that says, I've got this, well, let's go get it. I'm gonna get that listing today. I'm gonna go find another buyer, go find another seller. It's just that high mindset and strong beliefs that fuel your results, or the low mindset and the poor beliefs like, this is so hard, I can't do it. And versus on the horizontal here is the high producing activity, the lead gen, talking to people, caring for people, calling them up, letting them know you care, script and role play, script practice and role play, negotiating contracts, that's the high producing activities that's going to get you closer to a closing table versus the low producing activity. Now, many of these are very necessary. But the question is which quadrant are you living in? The achiever is right here. It may not be 100% of all day of every day, because sometimes you got to go make that flyer or design that marketing plan. But you have to live a lot in this realm. And you're going to have a rough day where you sink down here. But what's the story you're telling yourself after that? After you have a really rough day, what are you telling yourself? What's the story? So this is the achiever, and this is the imposter. This is over here, the one that's here most of the time is like, I'm great. I'm awesome. I got this. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do absolutely nothing to move my business forward. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm not going to call anybody, right? This is the imposter. Now, this is the despondent. I apologize to tell you that this person probably won't be in the business if they're living in this world a long time. Most of the time, they're in a low mindset and low activity. They're probably not going to be in real estate in 6 months. And this one is the restricted. I call them that because it's going to be short-term success, short-term, because they're doing the right things to get business, and yet their mindset is in the dumper. They think they're going to fail. And that's exactly what they'll produce. So I have this other picture. You guys, I love this. Oh my word. This was the 2018 National Geographic Picture of the Year. And I've shown this before. When I first saw this, I thought, I like that, but I don't get why that's so spectacular. I mean, someone in a helicopter taking a picture of maybe some horses in the desert. But if you look closer, you see that what you see there are the shadows. The zebras are down below here. And it's like, oh, okay. So here's the zebras here. You can see I kind of did it. You guys see that? Everybody with me? Yeah. Because I want you guys to understand that it's in the shadows that you win, and it's in the shadows that you lose. You never forget that you don't shine under the bright lights. The bright lights really only reveal the work you did in the shadows. When no one was watching, when no one was around, when you made that call to that client, when you made that fifth contact for the day, when you're the Tom Daves of all Tom Daves, relentlessly lead genning, right? In the shadows, we get so used to seeing the superstars, right, on the stage, on the game day, and we forget what we do not see. We do not see the hours they spent beating on their craft, drenched in sweat, and almost to the point of exhaustion. And that's why we see them in the lights. We forget about what they must have done in the shadows. And so my encouragement to you is do some personal growth work and identify your zone of excellence. I have a couple points here, actually 4. Identify your zone of excellence, figure out what that is, and begin to move towards that. Remove the interference And this takes work and this takes courage because it's not easy to go there. Realize maybe what story you've been telling yourself about a failure you had, years ago. What's the limited beliefs that are not serving you? Get into massive action in the top 20%, above all, in the busyness. And I know it's a stressful real estate market right now, but in the busyness, make sure you're talking to people about real estate. Okay, keeping that top 20%. I really encourage you to consider hiring a coach. I really encourage you and you need to hire someone that's done this work on themselves, because they'll never be able to help you do it if they haven't done it themselves. So let's talk. I've been chatting now,
Hey,
Don.
Jackie. Yeah, some things that come to mind as you go through this is that a little game that I play with myself sometimes when I'm really suffering, whether it be on my bicycle or I'm having to make my calls, or basically I'm struggling at something, right? And what I will do is I'll play a little game and I'll say, well, this is probably that point when the mediocre people would quit, right? Because I had had a certain amount of failure and it was uncomfortable. And so someone would quit at that level. And then I'll go a little bit higher and I will persist a little bit more. And I'll say, well, this is probably where the good people would quit, right? And then I'll persist a little bit more and keep on going. And I'll actually start getting quite good at it. And I'll say, well, this is probably where the top 20% would quit, right? And you get the idea. But, I was listening to an interview this past weekend about the 1984 Olympics, and they were talking about Carl Lewis. And in the 100 meter, it shows Carl Lewis just like accelerating away from everybody else. And what the guy said, he goes, everyone decelerates at the end of the 100 meter. It looks like Carl Lewis is accelerating because he's decelerating less than the others. Okay. And so the point is that if you feel everyone suffers, even Tom Daves might have call reluctance. I know it's hard to understand that could be true. Okay. But we all suffer. It's a matter of, are you going to be grateful for that experience? Choose gratitude. And are you going to persist? Are you going to learn? Are you going to adapt? And then are you going to get up and go again? Or are you going to just be part of the folks that gave up because it was too tough? We're in a really fascinating time right now in real estate because we're about to lose like 500,000 of our competitors. There's going to probably be in the next 18 months, 500,000 agents leaving this business. So if we just think about the business from a supply and demand perspective, it's going to get really good for those left standing after that filtering process. So anyway, Jackie, got me inspired to just persist.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think, we've heard about the top 10% of the agents sell 90% of the homes out there. And what I do think that we're going to start seeing is it's not 10%, it's probably going to be 5%. Like as this field starts to shift and oh my goodness, I mean, we're feeling it here I'm feeling it in Colorado with the agents that I'm talking to. And it's about, what are you doing that most people aren't willing to do? Because that's when you'll have what most people won't have. And right. It's just a relentless, just sitting here dialing and just going through your list and like, okay, I don't want to call her, but you just hit that dial anyway, just hit it and just tell them you care. And that's one thing I'll leave you guys with is just what's so cool is in our world where there's not much care, where there's not much tenderness, where there's not much concern, where there is a lot of division and hatred around. That's how you will stand out even more, because you simply care. And people aren't seeing that in our world today, because you care. So, yeah, any other thoughts? Takeaways?
Anna Maria, you've been going through a lot of self-development, it seems like, in the last year. What have you discovered about yourself through this process?
I agree with Jackie that it's mindset and proximity is power. Oh, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I think the biggest lesson for me is proximity is power this year, because it's by putting myself in proximity with people who have a good mindset, it helps me, brings me out of the dumps when I fall in the dumps as well, every now and then. And just focus on giving. I'm actually doing a series of seminars every month, the first Wednesday of every month for my clients, and to help them transition through this crazy world of real estate. In fact, I'll have one tonight. So this was very helpful to get my mindset in order, Jackie. So,
yeah, awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, guys, I thank you so much for your time today. The gift of your time truly is a gift. And I hope we added some value today. I know I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm ready for my day. So
This is great.
Pleasure.
Well,
Thanks,
we're grateful
Jackie.
for you, Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
All right, guys. We'll make it a great day. Go win it.
Y'all
Go win
got
the day.
your inspiration. Now it's time to put in the perspiration. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Jackie.
Okay,
See ya.
bye-bye.
Bye now.